right, guys. So for your science review, you were focusing on motion. You should have watched the Study Jams video about motion, and then you had a Google Classroom activity. So these are the answers for your Google Classroom activity. Let me zoom it in a little bit so you can see. All right, so what is motion? Motion occurs when an object goes from one position to another. How do we describe motion? It's described by an object's direction and speed. And then how does motion change? Force is needed to change the direction of motion. All right, looking at your vocabulary, we've already learned about force the day before, and then we learned about motion yesterday. So force examples are pushing and pulling and using energy to do work. Your examples for motion are measured in speed, increases as friction decreases, and the change in position of an object because of a force. And remember, friction is like what's going to cause your things to stop rolling or make it more difficult for it to roll. So, for example, when you were riding on that skateboard we talked about the other day, if you were riding on concrete and then all of a sudden you hit a patch of sand, that sand is going to slow you down or completely stop you and throw you off that skateboard. That's causing friction. Okay. All right, let's go look at the next page. The greater the force, the greater the change the motion will be. Explain the sentence above using the boy in the box as your example. So, for example, you could have said the harder the boy pushes the box, the more that it will move in the position he's pushing it. Okay. So think of it like you're moving your dresser in your bedroom. The harder you push on it, the more likely it's going to move in the position that you want it to be in. All right. Remember, the more mass is weight. The more massive an object is, the less effect a given force will have on the object. So look at the boy in the car. It says, if this was a small toy car, would it move an equal distance as if it were a large car? The boy gave the same amount of force. No, we all know if you try to push a car, it's not really going to go anywhere. But if you push a toy car, you can exert very little force on it and it's going to go really far. It depends on the mass of the object you're trying to move. Okay. Unless acted on by a force, objects in motion will stay in motion and objects at rest will remain at rest. So, without other forces, what would this ball do? If the football player wasn't kicking it, it would be sitting on the ground. But because the football player has already kicked it, it's going to continue flying through the air without any other force stopping it. What force is going to stop it? Gravity. Gravity is going to pull that football back down to earth. It's not going to fly any further. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, contact me.